Hello everybody, and welcome to a Guilds of Ravnica draft here on the channel. Now before I dive in, I do want to remind you that if you enjoy the video, remember to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, click that bell so you don't miss any future videos, and leave a comment in the comment section down below if you have any questions. This video is by popular request because people want to know how to draft this format, and I'm happy to oblige. If you would like to talk more about things, all things Magic related, be sure to check out the channel Discord server. It's free to join. There'll be a link to that in the description. And yeah. Okie doke. And if you want to catch me streaming live, you can find me on twitch.tv/NicolaiBolas. So, interesting pick here. So, we opened up Beast Whisperer, which is a very powerful green card. One of the things that you'll immediately notice about Guilds of Ravnica draft when compared to other formats is that there's only 5 viable color combinations. You could sometimes get a blue-white aggro deck to work, but not usually. There's only 5 viable color combinations, so each card is inherently more limiting than it generally would be. So, Beast Whisperer, you have to play Golgari or Selesnya, which is green-black or green-white. There's not a green-red deck, there's not a green-blue deck. You kind of have only 2 options. So each pick is inherently more limiting than it normally would be, because instead of 4 color combinations, there's only 2. So Beast Whisperer is very good. If it's 6 in play, you're going to win the game. But green is the worst color in this set. It just, the green-black and green-white are like not unplayably bad, but they are worse than the other colors. That being said, Beast Whisperer is a high enough margin that it's still worth taking here. But one consequence of the fact that there's so many color combinations is the gold cards go up in value. So normally you take Boros, if you see Boros Challenger, you're like, well, this card's going to be great if I end up in red-white, but the odds of me ending up in red-white are like 1 in 10. But in this set, it's 1 in 5, so you're twice as likely to be able to play it, so it's worth speculating on gold cards early, which is why I kind of semi-patented the 5-pick method. So for the first 5 picks of the draft, I kind of ignore color requirements. I do like slightly lean towards monocolored cards, but not really. And you just take the most powerful card of the pack because you get so rewarded for finding the open lane. If you have the, like, if you're playing Boros and the person to your right is playing Dimir, you're working really well with them. They're passing you all the Boros cards, and you don't really care about any of the blue or black cards. So you get so hooked up that it's worth waffling around to find the open colors. And this pack really demonstrates this. After the Beast Whisperer, one of the most powerful cards is Watcher in the Mist, and then after that, I think all the gold cards are like really powerful. There's a Hypothesis, which is one of the best Izzet commons. Boros Challenger is fantastic, and Rosemane Centaur is a really good Selesnya card. Though because Selesnya is worse, I would put this down a little bit in my pick order. So I think here it goes: Beast Whisperer, followed by Watcher in the Mist, and then I like the Izzet deck, so I'd take Hypothesis, then Challenger, and then Rosemane Centaur, and then probably Flower Flourish. But yeah, that's my pick order in this pack. And let's start things off with the Beast Whisperer and see how it goes. Okie doke. So following up Beast Whisperer, we're just going to pretend as if this is in our pile and just take the most powerful card in the pack, which probably it potentially could be the Conclave Guildmage. It's not a bad card by any means, but it also is a little bit difficult to get working. Risk factor is not super good because a lot of the times you'll fall behind because you'll play against another Boros deck, and then this card doesn't really pull its weight. Though if you are playing against a control deck and you're an aggressive deck, this card is quite good. Join Shields is just not particularly playable. Wojek Bodyguard is actually either the best or second best red common, depending on which archetype you end up in. Direct Current is the only other real competition for it. Muserake was a card that consistently underwhelmed me. Iron Shell Beetle's okay, but here I think the pick is mainly between the Wojek Bodyguard and the Conclave Guildmage. Wojek would kind of abandon Beast Whisperer, and I will bias towards playing this a little bit. So I think we are going to take the Conclave Guildmage, but this card isn't even really that spectacular, and I could totally see a world where you just take Wojek Bodyguard here, which is kind of weird to think about just because you can never play both of these cards in the same deck. It's just Wojek is so powerful. I think Wojek Bodyguard is a better pick than Risk Factor. Turn 3 Wojek is just really quite good. So I think in this pack it goes Conclave Guildmage, then Wojek Bodyguard, and then probably Iron Shell Beetle. That's kind of an underwhelming third pick, and then maybe the Risk Factor after that. But we're going to take the Conclave Guildmage. Keeping in mind that we could just give up on the Conclave Guildmage fairly easily here. Okay, pick 3. We do see another card that could keep us Selesnya. Rosemane Centaur is quite powerful if you can build the right deck around it, and could be a nice payoff for playing Selesnya. There is also a Plague Crafter, which can be good in the right deck. One thing that's interesting about this format is the green-black deck cares about getting creatures in the graveyard, but it doesn't actually have any really self-mill. So cards like Plague Crafter, cards like Burglar Rat, are like cheap ways to get creatures into your graveyard to fuel your undergrowth cards later on in the game. I will say that Blade Instructor is pretty good, but definitely a step down from Rosemane Centaur. In this pack, I think Plague Crafter is close with Rosemane Centaur and power level, so we're just going to keep defaulting towards our Selesnya cards just because we do have these green ones we want to play. But after that, I would probably take Plague Crafter followed by Burglar Rat. Sprouting Renewal is not super good. Sure, it's a cheap 2/2 creature sometimes, but that has some little upside. But you generally, in your green decks, you want to be having creatures get to your graveyard rather than sorceries, because the creatures fuel your Undergrowth cards later, even in just a pure green deck. So here I think we go Rosemane Centaur, followed by Plague Crafter, then probably take Sprouting Renewal, and then Burglar Rat. Though one thing to keep in note about Burglar Rat is you think, oh, it's a 2-for-1, but the 2-mana 1/1 is not really worth a full card a lot of the time, so you really want to make sure that you have some use for that. Yeah, we're off to a pretty solid start here. And now, Prey Upon, sadly, is not super great in this format. Just kind of, it's like okay, you can play it. It works well with your Rosemane Centaurs, but it's never really a high priority because there are some creatures that have Death Touch. There's not a ton of like massive creatures, like Rosemane Centaur is a pretty big one, but it's hard to get like consistently big creatures. And then there are a decent amount of ways to blow that out, the card out at instant speed. Beam Splitter Mage, not a super high payoff either. This is the type of spot where if there was a really good blue-black card, I would probably just take it here and potentially abandon all my other cards. There isn't. Motion Rain is solid, but you only really want one copy because the 2 life does come in, like factor in. Darkblade Agent is quite good as well. Wand of Vertebrae is not really playable. I think here we're just going to take either Skyline Scout or Blade Instructor. I do like both. There are some 1/1s that punish both of these cards, and 2-drops are more important in Selesnya because you really want to be curving out. So because of those reasons, I think Skyline Scout is going to be the pick. If you can go 2-drop into 3-drop into Rosemane Centaur, then you're really doing it. That's like the ideal curve out. I think Prey Upon is okay, but we're just going to take the Skyline Scout here over probably Darkblade Agent, honestly. It's probably Skyline Scout, then Prey Upon, then Darkblade Agent, though. Maybe Prey Upon's probably a little bit better than I'm giving it credit for. And now, there's another Rosemane Centaur. Definitely happy to get this. It's a great pickup here. Might of the Mass is not particularly high priority, though it can be playable. Crushing Canopy, not a main deckable card, I don't think, though. It's a fine sideboard card if you ever play best of 3 of this format for some reason. Leapfrog is okay in more aggressive Izzet builds, but those don't come together as often, especially I've found on Arena. And then I think after the Rosemane Centaur, I would just be taking the Vernati Shieldmate to get more 2-drops to help me curve out. And then after that, I would probably just take Might of the Masses or Crushing Canopy. Pretty easy Rosemane Centaur here. And now this is a pretty interesting pick because there is a Selesnya Guildgate, which really helps with your mana, makes sure you can cast your spells. And Selesnya is one of those decks that can sometimes run Glaive of the Guildpact pretty effectively. Glaive of the Guildpact is a equipment that's an uncommon that lets you equip it to give a creature +1/+0 for each gate you control. Selesnya Guildgate helps your mana. It's kind of less replaceable than these other options. We already have 2 2-drop creatures, a couple of Rosemanes, so I would like to get a Shieldmate. I think Devkarin Dissident is a little bit better than Shieldmate, though, just because it has that extra pump ability in the late game. Though, I think we're just going to take the Selesnya Guildgate. Collar the Culprit, not really a card I'm happy main decking, though you can in a pinch. It just doesn't do anything against the aggressive Boros decks. Same with Crush the Contraband. There's not enough enchantments and artifacts running around. So I think here it's a Selesnya Guildgate followed by a Devkarin Dissident. You might be saying, but wait, Centaur Peacemaker's in the pack. It just doesn't really fit with what you're trying to do. 3 mana 3/3 that like gains both players 4 life just doesn't really do a ton. Sure, it's okay against the Boros decks, but it's also kind of like miserable against the Dimir decks that just want extra life to help stabilize. And I don't prioritize that card at all. I'd much rather get a 2-drop here that helps me get my Rosemane Centaurs out. Because if you have a Rosemane Centaur in your hand and you miss your 2-drop, the card gets significantly worse. But here we're just going to take the Guildgate to help us with our mana. The first Guildgate's a pretty high priority, and then we'll get more 2-drops later, hopefully. And now, Ironshell Beetle is a pretty solid card. I think it's a little bit better than Devkarin Dissident, though that is close. The Beetle just has upside in that you can distribute the token, you can put the counter, you can put the counter on a scout that has flying, you can put the counter on some other creature that enable an attack that turn. Guild Summon is an interesting one if I was going for a... I think this card is like kind of a sweet build around, but like it's hard to know where you're supposed to run it. So I don't think I take this card very highly, especially because I think it's at best in a control deck, and Selesnya kind of functions as like more of an aggressive deck. You get your big creatures out early, and then you just kill your opponent before they can do anything. I think we're going to take the Ironshell Beetle over the Devkarin Dissident. And then over Guild Summit would probably be a speculative third pick here. One thing to note is Devious Cover-Up is better than it looks in this format. Sometimes your win condition can legitimately be 2 Devious Cover-Ups, and then just like after you've used the first one, the second one shovels back in the other one, and you just never deck. So that can be a legitimate win condition if your control deck lacks a finisher, though I would prefer to have Watcher in the Mist as my win condition. 5 and a 3/4 flyer that surveils 2 when it enters. But here we're going to take the Iron Shell Beetle. Iron Shell Beetle also works well with any Healer's Hawks we might pick up. Okay, and now there's an Intrusive Pack Beast that we could consider. We already kind of have a few 5-drops, but if you can land this on turn 4 and then this on turn 5, it can be pretty good. There's also some consideration to just picking up a Boros Guildgate. We're not going to be moving into any of these blue-black cards, though. I will say Barrier of Bones, not a very good card, and Pass Wall Adept is better than you think it is. Not going to pick a Garrison Sergeant, so I think it's between the Pack Beast and the Guildgate. I never really was a huge fan of the Pack Beast. It can do work, but I think I'm just going to get a Guildgate as a speculative pick in case I see any cards later like the Glaive. And now probably just another Boros Guildgate over a Portcullis Vine. This card's more of a Golgari card where you want to get creatures in your graveyard and you're willing to be a little bit slow to do that, but I don't really play it in my Selesnya decks, even though it can convoke your cards out a little bit earlier. And wow, we're just rolling in the Boros Guildgates. Here, I think Lockstone Restore for the sideboard is pretty solid. Garrison Sergeant as like a card to splash off my 2 gates isn't that appealing. I don't like Join Shields at all. I think we'll just keep taking the Boros Guildgates. We actually have a really good tools to splash now. And I guess I'll take Urban Utopia. If I open up a great red card, maybe I can splash it. We'll just keep taking these kind of junkers. But our deck is looking okay. We just kind of seen a couple junkers here at the end of the pack, which is fairly normal. Okie doke. So we opened up Chromatic Lantern, which could potentially enable some splashes, but I think here we're supposed to either take the Inspiring Unicorn, which is probably better in a Boros deck where you're going to have more combat tricks, or Conclave Guildmage just as another 2-drop. Conclave Guildmage is like actually kind of close to Vernati Shieldmage. It's like is better because the making a 2/2 in the late game is relevant, but like a lot of the time this is kind of a hard to cast 2-drop. But I think here it's probably Conclave Guildmage, and then I would probably take the Shieldmate over the Unicorn here just because I want to have enough 2-drops. I already have a couple 2-drops, I guess, so maybe the Unicorn is just better, but I'd have to prioritize combat tricks after that. Vigor Spore Worm could be good in this deck as well. This card definitely overperforms based on what it looks like. And 10th District Guard is basically a vanilla 2-mana 2/2, which generally isn't good enough for this format. I'm not hoping to splash red, I just kind of have the Guildgates as a speculation. I'd much rather splash black for something like a Rhizome Lurcher, but we're just going to pick up the Conclave Guildmage over like Swathcutter Giant 2. This card's a bit slow, though it could be a decent card to splash if I had a reason to run the gates. Like if I got a Glaive of the Guild Pact, I would probably run the gates and go for like a Glaive deck maybe. Ooh, Ledev Champion. This is a nice pickup. I mean, obviously there's a lot of great cards in this pack. There's a Artful Takedown, which is one of the best Dimir commons. There's a Chemister's Insight, which is fantastic. Glowspore Shaman's actually really good in the Golgari decks because it's one of the only ways to mill cards. And fuel your undergrowth. One thing I will say is that Generous Stray, I think, was very overrated. It looks like a 2-for-1, as I said, like, oh, you get a 1/2 and you draw a card. But it ends up being really slow. Against the aggressive decks, a 1/2 is basically not worth a card. It's like a chump block, so like you pay 3 mana to like gain 3 life and draw a card, which it just ends up not being very good. Ledev Champion's quite powerful. It's like more inevitability with the token making, kind of like the Guild Mages. And then it can kind of attack pretty well. I like Healer's Hawk a good amount too. Good combo with Iron Shell Beetle. But I think we're just going to take Ledev Champion here. And then next we would take the Healer's Hawk. Ooh, getting the Affectionate Indrik is a nice pickup. It's Inescapable Blaze isn't splashable, but it is a card to be aware of in the format. If you feel like you're stabilizing, make sure you try to stay above 6 life, because this card can end the game out of nowhere. Direct Current is one of the better red commons. Deadweight is, if not the best black common, it's at least in contention with... it's like Deadly Visit, I think, is the 5 cost removal spell in black that lets you surveil 2 after casting it. I think Deadweight and that are very close, but Deadweight's quite good. But we're just going to take the Affectionate Indrik, definitely a good card. Lets you get the like a removal attached to a creature, which is really nice. Siege Worm never really performed super highly, but we would probably still play it. And now Crawl Harpooner. When you ever eat a creature with this, like if you kill a Healer's Hawk, it just feels like the game is over. This card is fantastic, and 2 mana 3/2 is never bad, so this card's great. After that, we would just take a 2-drop, and then we would probably take the Golgari Guildgate over the Generous Stray. But yeah, I'm really happy to see Crawl Harpooner. One thing I will say is Command the Storm is a little bit lower priority than you might think. It's just pretty clunky. But our deck is really looking good. Even though Selesnya is like the worst guild, it's by no means unplayable, and this deck is looking pretty good. We have a lot of the uncommons you care about. An Indrik, 2 Rosemains already, a rare, Ladev, and 2 Conclave. So we have a lot of the cards that like Selesnya wants to be good. Sworn Companions looks like it would be a Selesnya card. You're like, oh, but I have Convoke. But the 1/1 tokens just end up being irrelevant, so you don't really want those. Crawl Foragers can do okay, but I don't love it. Like, it's just kind of small for the cost. 5 mana 4/4 doesn't attack super well. We already have the Rosemains for those beatdown duties. Wild Zeratalk's actually a little bit better than it looks. We're not going to splash something like Sky Knight Legionnaire. It just makes our mana really tricky. So I think here the pick is between Sworn Companions, though that's I'm not picking that. There's also a Crawl Foragers. Wild Zeratalk is not great either. I think I'm just going to take Pitiless Gorgon as a Death Touch creature that can attack pretty well. And it's a little bit hard to cast in our deck, but I think it's going to be worth it overall. This card is pretty solid. Would I rather have something else? No, let's just get the Pitiless Gorgon. And now there is a Pax Favor, which is a pretty nice combat trick. The fact that you can cast this for free is pretty nice. Lotleth Giant, not really a high priority for me. There's also a Golgari Guildgate. Wario Copy is actually better than it looks by a little bit. It's still not a super high priority, and you're fine if you don't play it. But in a Golgari deck, the fact that it is kind of a thing that they are forced to trade off with means that it's a pretty reliable undergrowth card. It'll get in your graveyard. But I think we're just going to take Pax Favor. I like combat tricks, and I like the fact that this works pretty well with like my Vigilance card, and like you can cast it pretty cheaply. So I like Pax Favor over the Guildgate. The first copy is pretty nice to pick up. And now I'll take a Flight of Equinox. Hopefully we can get there, but I mean, it's generally going to be like a 6-cost 4 or 5 flyer, or maybe a little bit cheaper than that in the late game, but I think the card is pretty solid regardless. I like Blade Instructor a decent amount as well. It does attack pretty well. Maybe I'm just supposed to take Blade Instructor over Flight. We already have a couple of Convoke cards. I do like Flight of Equinox, but Blade Instructor is also really impressive, especially if you can push it through. Like just growing your creatures. I have a decent amount of creatures that are pretty good to pump with it. Blade Instructor versus Flight of Equinox. I think I'm just going to take the Blade Instructor. It's more reliable, it's easier to cast, and something I'm pretty fine getting. The Sworn Companions. Righteous Blow is not a card I ever prioritize. I think I'm just going to take Might of Masses, especially now that I have a Blade Instructor that works well with combat tricks. And Swathcutter Giant Wield. So I could still consider splashing it, but I really don't want to because I do have 2 pretty tricky cards to cast. A Pitiless Gorgon, which is hard to cast. I think Verdantic Shieldmate is better than 10th District Guard, but neither is super good. Vigor Spore Worm can be okay. Most of my deck is creatures, and it can enable some pretty nice attacks. I think a 2-mana 2/2 Vigilance just isn't up to snuff. I think I'm just going to take Vigor Spore Worm as a nice little finisher. I will take the Generous Stray, even though I don't want it. I will say Vidalcan Mesmerist is better than people give it credit for. It's also really annoying in multiples for blanking attacks. Sure, we're just kind of taking Junkers. Ooh, this is a pretty good 2-drop. We're happy to get that. And Crawl Forager's Wield. We'll take it over Wild Zeratalk. And Wario Copy. Probably going to take that over Pack Beast. We already kind of have some expensive cards, and just getting a nice little 3-drop is okay. Okay, so Guild Mage's Form. Add 1 mana of any color. If that mana is spent to cast a multicolored creature spell, that creature enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter. How many multicolored creatures do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. With 6 creatures, that's kind of tempting, but I think we just have to take Luminous Bonds as the unconditional removal spell. Very effective in this format. I think this card would be the second pick out of the pack over the Selesnya Guildgate, but Luminous Bonds is a premium removal spell, and we can't afford to pass that up. And following that up, there's another Selesnya Guildgate, which is quite nice. Midnight Reaper is a great rare, but it's not in our colors, and again, we have pretty heavy costs of putting extra white cards in our deck. I think we want to take either Selesnya Guildgate as just getting a second copy of that, or one of these 2-drops like Iron Shell Beetle or Skyline Scout. I think Skyline Scout's better than the Beetle. but we are heavier green than white. I think we'll just pick up the second gate, maybe. Just help our mana out. We don't really need another mediocre 2-drop. And now getting another Rosemane Centaur is excellent for us. This draft is really looking pretty good for us, I'd say. Don't really love the Centaur Peacemaker. I think we're just going to take the Vernati Shieldmate, get another 2-drop. It's not a high impact card, but we don't want a third gate because it'll just slow our mana down too much. It's easy to cast and helps us get our Rosemane Centaurs out on time. So for all those reasons, we're going to take that here. I actually really like Take Heart. Take Heart is great in this type of deck. Like a nice cheap combat trick. Works well with Blade Instructors, works well with any creatures that they're going to have to block. And I think we're going to take that here over another Blade Instructor. Though, how many creatures? We have 1, 2, 3. I really like the combat tricks. We already have 1, 2 combat tricks. Might of the Masses isn't great, but it can be okay in a pinch. This is also just kind of cheap interaction for the format. We're just kind of all creatures and then a couple combat tricks. Maybe we'd rather have another Blade Instructor as a 3-drop. We already have 2 combat tricks, so let's just take the Blade Instructor here. And now there's a Guild Gate, but we don't really want another Guild Gate. I guess we could take a Centaur Peacemaker, but I don't really want to play that. I think we would take that just as a sideboard card, potentially, even though there's no sideboarding. We don't want a third gate. Wow, Parhelion Patrol is actually quite good. It doesn't work great in our deck, but in red-white it's really good because you can mentor it with a Wojak Bodyguard, and then once this has 3 power, it's really deadly. We do have 2 Blade Instructors, though, so we'll probably play it. We'll take it over Pitiless Gorgon. And now we'll take a Righteous Blow, but we're not going to main deck that type of card. And then there's the Centaur Peacemaker. Just really not a fan of the Peacemaker. Pack Beast is okay. We're not going to have to play it, luckily. Another Foragers. We'll just take the uncommons to pad the collection, as they say. Help fill the vault a little quicker. Just an arena tip is if you just start taking the uncommons. Oh, nice. 20 gems. Let's build our deck. So Selesnya is a pretty focused deck a lot of the time. We want to have a lot of creatures to maximize Beast Whisperer. Parhelion Patrol, the only synergy we have with it is we have an Iron Shell Beetle. That's good synergy. That's 1. And then we have 2 copies of Blade Instructor, and then any combat tricks we run with it. So I think that's enough. You don't need all that much for Parhelion Patrol to be a good card, because if you ever get a counter on it, it's just game breaking. So let's zoom in here. So we have 8, 7, 2, which seems like a fine split to me. Let's look at our color requirements right now. 18 to 12. I'd like to get another forest in there ideally. So I like all these 2-drops pretty much. Vernati Shieldmate's a little bit weak, but it makes up for that by being easy to cast. We have 2 combat tricks, which is good. I think we can cut Wario Copy. Though what do we want to add? Righteous Blow, no. Vigil, no. Vigil's kind of just a cheese them out type of card. If you're playing like a red-white deck that didn't really get there. We have kind of good top end, so we don't need any Intrusive Pack Beast. I don't like Generous Stray. I just think the card's kind of a blank a lot of the time. Maybe we do just play the Okapi. So it's between the Okapi and the Crawl Foragers, but as I said, we already have 1 Crawl Foragers. It can be a nice stabilization tool against Boros, because we have so many creatures, but I think the Okapi is going to be solid here. Centaur Peacemaker is interesting as well, but a 3-mana 3/3 is just not really that good in this format. There's a lot of stuff that blanks it, and I'd rather just have something that's a little bit higher impact when things are going well. Sure, the 3/1 is in a similar boat, but gaining my opponent 4 life is not great. Why so many Boros Gates? We just picked up 3 of them when there wasn't much else in the pack. It wasn't like a huge deal. Yeah, I think we're going to run it like this. I'm a little bit worried about playing against Dimir, but we have some 4/4s, some big creatures. Beast Whisperer can pull some weight, hopefully. And we have a lot of token makers for the late game to maybe go wide past them. But I am a little bit worried about them. Maybe an Intrusive Pack Beast would help that matchup. Like, the key things you have to be thinking about when you're playing on Arena especially is how's the Boros matchup and how's the Dimir matchup. So against Boros, we can kind of compete by just playing some creatures and like blocking and stuff like that. We don't have a ton of removal, which can be a problem against them. So maybe we'd rather cut Might of the Masses for something like a Pack Beast, just because this doesn't do anything against Dimir or Boros, really, because we're not going to have a lot of creatures against Boros, and against Dimir they'll blow us out. So maybe we just cut that for a pack beast. That actually could just be better. And then maybe we would want to add just something like kind of cheesy, like a like a Candlelight Vigil. Maybe I would just rather have Crawl Foragers. I think we'll just add Crawl Foragers instead. Because the 4/4 attacks past all their like X4s. Yeah, I like this a little bit better, I think. We also have Vigor Sporeworm, which is kind of a combo with our flyer. Yeah, let's try this build out. See how it works. Yeah, I agree it's good against Boros, but it's so bad against the other decks that I don't really like it. Yep, that's going to do it for our build. I hope you enjoyed it, and stay with me for the matches. Before I get to the matches, I want to give a big shout out to all of my patrons over at patreon.com/NicolaiBolas. Thank you so much for your support, and special thanks to my patrons that support at the credits level, Eric S., Stephen W., Brent, and Mr. Martinez. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. And if you would like to learn more about the Patreon, you can find that information at patreon.com/NicolaiBolas. Without further ado, let's get to the matches. Welcome to round 1. We have a pretty good hand, especially on the draw. We'll be more likely to hit our land drops. Ooh, up against potentially Dimir. This card is generally pretty good against our deck, though we have a pretty good build against it because we have pretty good ways of going bigger than it. I think we're going to start things off with the Vernati Shieldmate. It gives us more options with our Beetle later. And Shieldmate makes it so this thing can no longer attack. Okay, I guess it can attack. Playing against Golgari, okay. So this is a nice little combo, Beetle plus Parhelion Patrol. Let's attack. We don't have any reason not to attack. This is a good trade for us. It's actually a very good trade for us. Even though getting a creature in their graveyard is not ideal, trading off for their Death Touch creature is fantastic. We'll get our Ladev Champion out. Next turn we can play Beast Whisperer, force them to have an answer. Golgari can't really kill it that well without a Prey Upon, which would be like a little bit of value for us. So we're going to play our Beast Whisperer. They have Prey Upon, they could have, like Deadweight doesn't kill it. Nice. Gonna get that value. Okay, so we're just going to play our Parhelion Patrol here. Draw our card. Get that sweet, sweet value. So these aren't attacking, but they can be used to convoke the Pack's favor. +1/+1 for each tapped creature. Let's go. Let's just not attack. We'll hold up our Pack's favor for in case they have Prey Upon for our Beast Whisperer. Generous Stray, Complete Blank. Like, not Complete Blank, obviously, like, it's a 1/2, but, like, it's not really worth the 3-mana investment, in my opinion, because if you're playing against Boros, it's useless. And Dimir doesn't care about a 1/2. And my deck doesn't really care about a 1/2, so, like, where is it good? Ooh. Then you have it fight that creature. I think they've already decided to fight the creature. Gosh darn it. I messed it up. There's a point where I don't think I'm allowed to respond potentially. It's definitely worth keeping the guy around though, in my opinion. La da da dee. We're just gonna spam out as many creatures as we can. One, two, three. Cancel. We'll tap the Ladev, because this guy's a better blocker. Thank you so much, PJF, for the follow. I really appreciate it. And now we can start making tokens with Ladev Champion. Yep. There he goes. It's like Severed Strands is a nice combo with the card, I must admit. Okay, now that I don't care about the card draw aspect, so this guy can make a 1/1. Kind of want to attack with this and this turn. This can trade off here. That's okay for me. We're just going to wait till we can be more mana efficient. We'll just make a 1/1 here. And now we can start attacking with 1/1s plus Parhelion Patrol and getting in. This Death Toucher is really the bane of Selesnya. It's like the best card against it. Oh, that's a bummer. 4/4 is good against this situation we're building up. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we can play both these guys, or we can play this plus activate. I think we just play both of our guys. Vigor Spore, okay. Trading this for our Death Toucher seems good. It was probably going to happen anyway. This does not have reach. Just checking. That's great for us. Some good draws from us for sure. We can start churning out those 1/1s though. Okay, so I didn't see where they did their surveilling, but now is the time to attack with all these. If we let them eat one of our guys, how does that work out for us? Probably badly. 3, 6, 10. They'll block here. They'll block here. Take 5. Yep. I don't like full swinging there. I don't like giving them the option to just eat one of our guys. They take an extra 2 damage. I guess they take an extra 3 damage, but then we lose a guy on board. It can be relevant. Dang. Oh my god. They hit Rhizome Lurcher. That's probably the best card they could have hit. Wow. Brutal. Give me Luminous Bonds. Jeez. Oh no. Well, that's a bummer. We'll have to chump one of them, but then we have like unlimited chumps for a little bit, or not really unlimited, but slightly unlimited. Ugh. This is 9 if I block like this. But then how do I ever win? We were very close this game. Ooh. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 creatures. That's a fantastic draw. So we attack with this. This will gain us 11. Wait, did I have lethal? If I had pumped up Blade Instructor? Because then I could have tutored... No, because if I pumped up this guy, and then I attack with everything... This thing... Because then I could have pumped up both of my guys. So they have to block this. They take 3, 6, 8. Oh no, this is lethal. Anyway. Unless they have something. And this was good because I gained a bunch of life. Boom. Haha. Got the win. Oh yeah, it is shown. I didn't see it in the corner of the card. That's why Vigor Spore Worm comes in clutch. Got the win, and I'll see you in the next round. Round 2, we have a great keeper here, thanks to the power of Beast Whisperer. As long as it doesn't die, we are chillin'. We're still going to run out the Blade Instructor on turn 3, just so we can apply a little bit of pressure, but that was not a great draw, but not the worst. We do need mana to cast our spells, after all. Ah, the Ornery Goblin, bane of Blade Instructors everywhere. We'll cast it anyway, just so they can't attack us with it. Yep, got me. Red-white also struggles to kill the Beast Whisperer. We'll trade. Against Boros, you just want to survive, especially when you have a nice value engine like I do, and we have some life gain if we make those tokens. No way are we blocking, because our guy is actually valuable. Oh, baby. So we can double spell next turn, so we'll just go land. Okay, what could they have if I attack? They could have double Righteous Blow, so we'll definitely play Rosemane Centaur first. There isn't an untapped trick in this set, other than the 5-cost one in Selesnya. Ooh, baby. Exposing myself to double Righteous Blow sounds like it's not worth it. Sure, I could get in 2 damage, but why would I risk that? It's like 2 commons, they could have it. Hammer dropper, sure. And if I keep this guy around, I just pretty much guarantee the win. Okay, so I could play 1, 2, 3. Because this guy costs 3 mana then, and I have a land. No, I can't quite. Oh, I can, because I have those 2 guys in play. So let's go. 1. Yeah, and I have my creatures in play. Oh, and then I'll be able to hold up Pax Favor. No, I can't hold up Pax Favor too. Let's play Blade Instructor. If they do somehow kill this thing, they can hit us for 8. But then we have just a massive board. Beast Whisperer is pretty good. I am not in the USA at the moment. Okay. You did good. If they attack with Hammer Dropper, we're going to block. Oh my goodness. I think we buff up Blade Instructor. So this thing can't just kill it straight up. And then we can play this post-combat. What you got? 4, 8, 11, 15. So this is fine trading those. We can save our guy with Pax Favor. So we can go buff him. 1, 2, and then we can play the Ladev champion as well. So let's just tap this guy. It doesn't really matter. Ladev is in the house. Pax Favor is a really good card that I think is a little underrated. Swath Cutter Giant. Well, that's a bit of a bummer. So we can attack. So this is if they block there. So we can tap this guy, and this guy to make this a 5/5. This guy can't be blocked anyway, so they can eat one of these. They take 4, 9, 12, so they're just dead if they block this guy's. Right? So they block here. They take 4, 5, 6, 4. This thing can attack for 5. So this is, they take 4, 9, 12, and then I pump. So yeah, they can't block there. This guy's a really good synergy, so where are you gonna block, buddy? Snapped it off. Got him. Yup. They were dead on board, so I don't think there was anything they could have done. If they blocked that the 5-powered creature, they would have lived at 1. No, they would have probably they would have died exactly. But yeah, got the win. See you in the next round, folks. We're gonna keep this one. 2-drop, 3-drop. Let's see if we can win without our great rare. It's gonna be closer, that's for sure. Iron Shell Beetle has to get run out as a 2-drop. We will buff our own Beetle. No shenanigans buffing there, guys, to kill them with the Destroy 4 toughness or greater this time around. Definitely not blocking. Ooh, the Wario copy. Play the Okapi because it's a little bit higher power. So if they're going to hit us for 2, we get to hit them for 5 now instead of just 4. Also, the Death Touch can be good if they have a Wojek bodyguard down the line. This thing does not have First Strike on defense. I think the green-white Convoke deck is harder to have it come together. They could have First Strike here. But we're fine if they trade their entire turn for like a copy and stuff. Yeah, Sure Strike is okay for us because we want to get our graveyard a little bit more stocked. Is that our Vigorous Boreworm's better? We're going to play this because we don't mind trading it off as much. Okie doke. Let's hit them for 2. Play Rosemane Centaur. Ornery Goblin. So they can't have a combat trick here. So we're just going to attack with everything. Then play 2 more creatures. We do have these Luminous Bonds. They are color screwed, so. We have 3 creatures in the graveyard for our Vigorous Boreworm. Good game, opponent. And I'll see all of you folks in the next round. For round 4 with a great hand. Keeperooski. It's the name of the game, and you needed so much to do. Honestly, the Skyline Scout is more valuable than the Conclave Guildmage. It's really debatable which one I'm supposed to run out on turn 2. Because this one's better with a counter on it, but like, and this one's miles from being useful. Now that I know I'm against a blue deck, I'm going to do the Scout. If I was against a red deck, this one can't attack into Ornery Goblin. Punished a little bit. They're not an insane amount, just a little bit. Had Tristani. Okay, Piston Fist, Cyclops. So I can attack with both. They'll trade. Is that okay for me? Yeah, it's probably okay for me. You know, I'd rather get this guy out, I think. This'll trade. They could have Sure Strike, but I think this is a good trade for me. No need to spend the mana. Because I'm much happier if they trade those. Sure Strike, Dazzling Light's rough. Happens. I do have my 3/2 flyer now. What are you gonna kill, opponent? Oh no. Yikes. Direct current. Bad news, bears. We're just gonna make a 2/2, force them to use their direct current. La-da-dee, la-da-doo. They did play their land, which is a little bit bizarre. Hello, Hamani. Ionize, okay. Yikes. They did not discard, okay. Interesting. If they attack me, I'm not blocking. Even though there are some dangerous cards that this works with. Whoa! Welcome, Lord Tupperware. Thanks for the raid. Hello, everybody. Maybe I should have blocked. Hard to say. We have been raided. If you have not checked out Lord Tupperware's channel, be sure to do so, folks. He plays a lot of Limited as well. I'm really afraid of like the card that like jumps this into the air. Night Veil Sprite. Yep, we have finally found a target that is suitable. No! Thank you so much, Vedo Corbin, for the follow. I appreciate it. Taking action. Mistborn83, welcome. I'm so afraid. I think they have something. Don't do it. Oh, baby. Wojak Bodyguard. Can't attack or block alone. Okay, so this guy's not going to attack. This guy can block there. This guy can... gosh, so we can play this and play our Rosemane Centaur. I think we trade off 4-4 for their 4-3 because this guy can't attack us. If they have another Dazzling Lights, I'm going to cry. Please no. Okay, let's go. I appreciate Vedo Corbin. And I hope you had a great stream, Tups. We're just playing some Guilds of Ravnica draft. Okay, opponent. It's now or never. Boom! Haha, no second direct current. Life is good. We're still undefeated with this deck. Ooh, in Platinum 1. No big deal. Just climbing through those ranks, as they say. And I'll see you folks in the next round. 5th round. We have another great hand. Can't cast this Gorgon, but, you know, can't always get there. Thank you, Adam WB, for the follow. I appreciate it. Okay. Hunted Witness cannot be allowed to triumph. Which one would we rather? I think we'd rather keep our Conclave Guildmage around. Oh, yes. All of the follow trains. Thank you, Metal Mario, for the follow. Okay, now we'll play the Guild Mage, and then next turn we'll ramp out the Centaur. Don't want to trade those off quite yet. That's okay with me. Oh, Ravnica Allegiance, definitely. I like Ravnica Allegiance. Though, I think Guild's just like... Honestly, the gameplay just got too repetitive for me in Guilds. So let's go. Lots of Ravnica sets. They love Ravnica. It's funny because I never really think of War of the Spark as a Ravnica set. But, like, it is. Rosemane Centaur, hype. So they could have +2/+2. There's no reason to block here. I think Iron Shell Beetle, what it pumps up is interesting. Because if I pump up the Rosemane Centaur, it plays around +2/+2, because then these things can't really deal with it. But if they double block this and pump up, I think we're fine with that. So I think we're just going to pump up the Skyline Scout and hit them for 3 in the air. Not going to give him the option to double block it. Like a 3-powered flyer is no joke. I started drafting in Dragons of Tarkir. I started drafting on Magic Online during Hour of Devastation. So I'm really hyped for that set to come back. Though I'm not sure how much. I'll be around a little bit for that one. And then, yeah. So those are the big milestones for draft. I started playing in Dark Ascension. Really? They are way too afraid of this card. Yeah, this card is way worse than they think it is. It is only really good in like the extreme late game. 6 mana is so much. But you gotta do what you gotta do. I think it's probably better to trade with the Devcrane Dissident, if I'm being honest. I still think they have +2/+2. I have no reason to go for anything crazy. Okay. I'll hold him back to block there. Decline. Oh my gosh, I loved Kaladesh. I didn't draft Kaladesh on Magic Online, but I wish I could have because that set was so cool. I loved Kaladesh. That was like I was listening to Limited Resources a lot during Kaladesh, and I remember like hearing all this stuff about Renegade Freighters, and I really wanted to try those things out, but I never drafted it a ton. You got to draft Kaladesh on MTG Arena when they brought it back briefly? That's awesome. I had MTG Arena, but I kind of was just focusing on MTGO stuff because Arena was kind of like a little bit boring to play on to some degree when it was like really slow and clunky a lot of the times. Or at least that's how I remember it being. I didn't play a lot of Arena when I was in the beta, but I was in the closed beta from like the very beginning. Oh, this guy's in Diamond. Or gal. This person. This individual. Don't want to be discriminatory in any way. Okay, opponent. What you got? Nothing. Okay. Well, we'll go to combat beforehand because we have the Dissident activation, potentially. Though I think we'll probably just attack with everything and then use the Skyline Scout because we don't want them to be able to interact with that. Thank you, Hishan, for the follow. I appreciate it. +2/+2? Yeah. Rough. Yup. We have him on a 2-turn clock in the skies. Boom! Let's go. Undefeated. Continuing our run. Life is good. And I'll see you in the next round. We are facing down the mythic player JLL Kerouac, and we have a good hand to start with here. Hello to you as well, JLL. You like the trophy board? That is something that I'm actually not a fan of. I think they just enabled that unsupervised algorithm. I think they just enabled the you can challenge your friends with draft decks. Because they just made it so you can have drafted decks. We'll start with a Guild Mage. Yeah, I think that was like the newest update. They did that. Like they let you save your draft decks at least. Okay. I am like really okay if I'd make this trade. Like this is a good trade for me. If they have Dazzling Lights, they have Dazzling Lights, but like I really hope this works out. No Dazzling Lights. No, they have Dazzling Lights. Ruts. Still, sometimes ups outnumber the downs. There go 2 swamps. We don't have any of our most powerful cards here, but Hard Poisoner is a real annoying card. If they play Muse Drake and I get to eat it with a Crawl Harpooner. Etrata, no! Oh, come off it, mate. Come off it. This card's irritating. It's like a... It's good against my deck because I don't have any ways to interact with it. I'm just going to play a relatively low impact card so that Etrata can't wreck it. I hope they hit me with Etrata. It wasn't it's like not an absurd card. It's not as absurd as it looks. Honestly, it's like a 4-mana kill spell a lot of the time that does 3 damage. And it can also attack and block. So it's really good, but it's not like I can't possibly win. And it's also like worse against certain decks where you can like kill the Etrata. I saw the little butterfly flying across my screen, or the leaf, or whatever that is, and I was like, oh. I thought it was like something that was like on my screen, so I was gonna wipe off my screen. Okay, JLL Kerouac. Thinking. Nice. We're having a deep conversation here. Oh my gosh, not this card. Oh, that's brutal. I'm just going to play this because I can. And then I'm probably going to Iron Shell Beetle up my Skyline Scout. Opponent had a nice draft, we say, seeing 4 of their cards. But yeah, Nightveil Predator is an annoying card for sure. We have Harpooner to help deal with it. If we can pop their Etrata by making them attack us, thanks to the pressure from this Skyline Scout, then maybe we can get stuff done. We can also just start sitting back and holding using our Conclave Guild Mage. Whew. Oh my gosh. Okay, their deck is great. Dimir is like really irritating. I think part of the thing with the guild sets was the gameplay got very repetitive for me. Because even though it may be like cool to play like the guilds, it's just 5 guilds, so you end up playing the same matchups way more often. Because in a normal set with 10 different color pairs, even if they're not all great, you'll end up drafting them. So you play like blue-red versus red-green, and blue-red versus white-blue, and stuff like that. Okay, that's irritating. But essentially, in this type of set, you end up playing like Selesnya versus Dimir, Selesnya versus Boros, Selesnya versus Golgari, or the mirror match. And those are your only options. Wario copy. I'm just waiting. If I draw Luminous Bonds, I have a chance. If I draw my Affectionate Indrik, I have a chance. The problem is my Crawl Harpooner can just be killed by Etrata. Hello, M11. Create 2/2. They are missing land drops. And they didn't play anything, which makes me want to wait on doing anything too ambitious. Because they could just hold up a counterspell, and there's like... If they cast like Chemistress inside here, it probably means they're just holding up counter magic. I don't think the cards were designed for that Fatty Chopper, so I don't think it would be very fun. I'm still in London, M11. I'm so glad you enjoyed it, M11. I'm so glad. Luminous Bonds! Nope. Okay. We have 7 mana, so we can play... Start with Crawl Foragers as like a bait. Which is weird to bait with this card and not with this one, but this one can actually block the Night Veil Predator. It can block the Night Veil. Haha! Outsmarted. Now I'm just waiting for my Luminous Bonds or my Indrik. Don't do it, opponent. Don't do it. I know you want to do it. Whatever it is. You're hovering over my cards. I don't like it. No! Oh, gosh. No! Silent Dart? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Gosh darn, Silent Dart. Oh. Just a 3/5 just blanks my entire deck. Gosh. This thing's also just an unblockable attacker, so. They kill this, hit me for 6. I don't really have any other flyers. Give me Luminous Bonds. No! Ooh, okay. My creature is now bigger. I'm sure they have like some sort of interaction, but the hover over is a great feature. I'm glad you enjoy it. M11. Oh. I don't think they're supposed to block with a Trotta here. They just have lethal on board. Like 3, 6, 7. Lethal. What? What? A what? Confusion abounds. Okay, so what are my paths to victory here? Like, draw my second Crawl Foragers. Gain a bunch of life. We have to kill a Trotta. If we can. No! Sad day! They actually had something. I mean, we have to assume they have nothing. We will then have 1, 2, 3, 6 power against 3 power, and they will be at 14, so we'll still be slightly behind. But if we draw a big creature next turn, or Crawl Foragers number 2, we gain like 10 life. Come back. Right. And that is gonna do it for this one. No path to the presidency, unfortunately. GG, opponent. I'll see you folks in the next round. No, the pain! Ugh. Doke. So we're gonna have to mulligan this hand. It's not ideal, but you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Do we want to go to 5? I don't think so. We're gonna keep 6, and then we're gonna get rid of Petalus Gorgon, because getting to double green is a little harder, and this card is like a big potential win condition. I'd rather just, if I get up to like 5 double green by turn 5, I'd rather just make 1/1s. Okay. Semi-punished. Give me Forest. Oh my gosh. This is just like basically a mulligan. No! Sad day. Sometimes you can't win them all. Oh gosh. They get to surveil an additional 2 cards. That's hilarious. This is the first and only time I've ever seen this card do anything. Even though it's super cool flavor. They kept every card on top. That's a bad sign. Oh no. Oh no. That is not ideal. No, no, no. I think we're going to play Blade Instructor over Ledev Champion. Just because we'd rather, like, keep this guy a little bit safer. Like, delay his entrance until, oh no. This might have to get Luminous Bondsed. Because that is a big no-no. Well, we are hitting our land drops, moving up the chain. I'm really hoping they don't have Disinformation Campaign, because that's like the most miserable card in the entire universe. So we're just going to play 2 cheap spells, play around Disdainful Stroke. I think I can stack the triggers where I attack with this card and this card, mentor it up, and then grow him. But I'm not 100% sure. Ah, Muse Drake. You card. I think we're just going to Indrik here. Even if they have Disdainful Stroke, they have Disdainful Stroke. Yeah, gosh darn it. But being able to knock down a Thoughtful Phantasm could have been really good. And like Disdainful Stroke's not like a unbelievably common card. And it's also like late enough in the game that they can probably hold it up the rest of the game if they want to. Interesting. Okay, so we have 2 creatures in the graveyard. So we can pump up our Blade Instructor. Are you kidding me? How do you get away with playing multiple Disdainful Strokes in the main deck? That's just... It's weird because it feels like you should get way more punished for doing that than the opponent probably did. Like, Disdainful Stroke is one of those cards that if you play against like a Boros deck, or like a Selesnya deck that doesn't get like punished by mulligans like ours did, and like we don't actually have a ton of cards that Disdainful Stroke hits. Like we have a pretty low to the ground deck. But like if you play against a lot of decks, you just get really punished for Disdainful Stroke not doing anything. We didn't play around the Disdainful Stroke, but you know. Oh my gosh, why? Oh, the pain. Agony. Ugh. Getting a Vigor Spore into play would have been great. So this is going to get Bondsed. The name's Bond. James Bond. And we actually can cast Pax Favor to protect from something like an artful takedown onto our Ledev Champion. Gosh, darn it. So sad. So sad. Ooh. What a rip. What a rip. Off the top of the old deck. And then we get to like buff up our guys so that it can attack through the 1/4s. Actually, they're going to double block next turn and we can kill both of them. So I think we'll just let this happen. And then they double block 1/3 and 1/4 onto our 4/2 next turn. Presumably. Really? Don't do it, opponent. Don't do it! No! Not attacking. So I'm down a few cards. But I'm not out of it. I've also drawn a lot of my expensive cards, but I have 3 Rose Mains. I have my Beast Whisperer. This is actually one of the few spots Muse Drake looks okay. Ugh. Oh my gosh. Whew. Sometimes you lose. Their stuff lined up really well against ours. They countered our like 2 most expensive cards with Disdainful Strokes at the right times. Oh well. I could have played around Disdainful Stroke a little bit, but like not really, because they can just hold up mana for the entire game because it's like late game. Yeah, we lose. We can't beat that card. Whew. See you folks in the next round. Welcome to round 8. We don't even need the nuts draw, we just need a normal draw against another normal deck. Oh baby. We got our Crawl, Harpooner. Probably didn't go Devkarin into Blade Instructor. Especially against a blue deck. Ooh, the Mesmerist. They are on to the tech. They know the tech. We could have played Crawl to trade, but we don't want to trade because we have our Centaur. Ooh, Leapfrog. Hello, Leapfrog. Oh, that's a good card. Blade Instructor can trade with Leapfrog. Oh gosh. Well, shucks. So 3, 5, so we'd go to 13, and then we'd go to like 6. I think we just trade. We have a super value engine in our Beast Whisperer here. I'm so glad you've been enjoying it, Black Mambo. They did miss a land drop. Never mind, maybe I was... I feel like I'm not missing something. Oh, gosh. Murmuring Mystic can be really scary. Okay. We have so many creatures in our deck. Ooh, that's a really good one. That'll let us get through the Murmuring Mystic. Ooh, this is great. So they're going to cast some spell here. Nope, just a Mesmerist. Beam Splitter Mage. Ooh. I'm kind of afraid, no joke. Okay. We're going to put the counter onto the Rosemane Centaur. Got in there for 5. Maybe I should have tapped more of my creatures just so if I drew a creature I could play it. It's a very strong Selesnya. We never lose when we draw this card. Oh, okay. Another Murmuring Mystic. It's low-key terrifying. Ledev Champion. Let's just keep seeing what we hit here. I'm actually fine trading off Pitiless Gorgon, I think, though trading it for Vidalcan Mesmers is pretty bad. Really? I think we want to save Crawl Harpooner to kill one of their birds. Because I sense birds in the future. Ah, see, the birds are coming. What? They killed a Conclave Guildmage? That is nutso. Okay, Zach Sherman, we're not going to tolerate that kind of chatting. Please don't be so... We're going to just time out Zach Sherman. 60. Gosh darn. Please don't be mean to people like that. They're not here. It's a long time ago. I don't really... I meant to do a little longer, but yeah, that's the main point is please don't be mean to people like that. It's just uncalled for. And, yeah, don't really like that energy in the chat. So even this guy's lethal, so I think we have him here. They have to block this as if it could pump. They could let this guy and this guy through technically if we didn't have the pack's favor. I think they're supposed to block the 1/5 onto the Devkarin. This is still getting through. Okay, what did not get blocked? Everything got blocked? Are you kidding me? Really? Okay. So, trade. Bounce. Kill. Kill. I think we just kill one of the Murmuring Mystics, right? I feel like we gotta win from here. Nice! Got the win, and I'll see you in the finals. Winner take all. If we lose, we're going home. I guess, in the metaphorical sense. See you in the finals. Final round. If we win, we are showered in glory. If we lose, we are close to being showered in glory. We have a keeper here. Beast Whisperer is great, even though we don't have our second green source yet. Oh gosh, that was a bad draw, especially against a red deck. Oh no, we don't want our more expensive cards. We want our 2-drops. Oh no. Okay, that's at least a card we can cast. 3-drop, 4-drop. Could stabilize us enough in time. Oh gosh, we're probably gonna have to block that. Let's play the Okapi. It's a little bit less vulnerable to things. At least we don't have to trade here. Match point, as they say. I do want to get my Rosemane Centaur down, so I am going to... refrain from anything. And I'm not attacking because I don't want to get wrecked by Righteous Blow. No! Who main decks that card? Totally punished. I regret everything. Oh my gosh. Oh, that is so unlucky. Oh my gosh. So wrecked. So unquestionably wrecked. We're playing this so if they have... I guess if they have Cosmotronic Wave, we're already really in bad shape. Punished. Opponent knows. Sure. Might have actually been one of the times when playing... Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to rely on this crawl. Forwarder's gaining me life to stabilize. Might have been one of the times when doing it pre-combat would have been worth it. If you decline, our opponent takes 2 threat, would take action. I'm also surprised. I think it would have been better. We go to 1 here. Come on. Crawl foragers, my hero. Yes, we were at 5. Let's go. And if they flash this back, we can just take the 4 again, go to 1. Hope to stabilize. Beast Whisperer. Iron Shell Beetle make the Crawl Foragers into a 5/5. And then Ascend. We're actually getting aggressive here. We can chump with this. Then our Vigor Spore Worm will give +5/+5. We're at 1. They don't have second red, so they can't even direct current us. Boom! Still in it. Ah! Oh, gosh, no! Oh my gosh, did we get there? 5/5/5. Oh, 5, 6, 7. Oh, we're 1 off. We'll give this guy vigilance. Oh my gosh, so close. Let's hope they don't draw anything. There's no burn spell for a single red. Inescapable Blaze doesn't do anything. Because they don't have double red. They might have a double red card on top. No. Oh. Easy, steady. 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 Yeah, is it an I win or an I lose? Boom! It's an I win! Champion! Sorry. Okay. Good games, opponent. Oh my gosh. Stabilizing at 1. Crawl Foragers gaining us that life to stabilize that clutch deck building decision that we made at the very beginning, coming back in clutch. Whoo! If you did make it all the way to this end of the video, and you're watching on YouTube, in the comment section down below, we're going to reflect the fact that we were playing the good guys of Ravnica. We were playing Selesnya, the sometimes underdog. So in the comment section down below, leave a hashtag good guy victory, because Selesnyas are kind of the good guys, and good guy victory. Beast Whisperer is a good guy, or you can say Beast victory, because Beast Whisperer carried us. So either of those in the comment section to let me know you made it all the way to the end. Remember to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment if you have any questions or feedback, and be sure to join the Discord server for the channel. It's a great place to talk about all things Magic. If you would like to catch me streaming live, you can find me on twitch.tv/NicolaiBolas. That is going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you next time.